A family torn apart by conflict, betrayal, and complex dynamics. Can a mother navigate the chaos and find a way to heal the rifts? Discover the emotional journey that unfolds. The tension begins. I never imagined I'd be in a situation like this. As a mother of 3 sons, I always thought my job was to nurture and support them, to help them navigate life and its complexities. But here I am, feeling lost and tangled in a web of family drama. My eldest son, Luis, recently got engaged to Jessa, and let me tell you, the tension between us has been palpable. I've always had a closer bond with my sons and their partners, but with Jessa, it feels different. Political differences aside, it's her hostile remarks about my youngest son Jaime's wife, Lucy, that truly unsettle me. I've seen her make snide comments about Lucy, and every time I do, my heart aches for my daughter-in-law. Now, as we approach the wedding, the rehearsal dinner looms over me like a dark cloud. My husband thinks we should just pay for it and keep the peace. But how can I support someone who treats my family so poorly? I'm torn between wanting to maintain harmony and standing up for what I believe is right. But this is just the beginning of our family saga, and as the wedding date draws closer, I know things are going to get even more complicated. I couldn't shake off the feeling that I may have to make a stand, and I didn't want to be the one to cause a rift in our family. So I decided to invite Luis to lunch, hoping to clear the air. Unraveling family dynamics. Lunch with Luis was eye-opening. I thought we'd be discussing wedding plans, but instead, I found myself in the middle of a storm. Luis opened up about the growing tensions with Jaime, and I was shocked. The 2 brothers, who had always been so close, were now at odds. Luis accused Jaime of being controlling and unsupportive, especially regarding the wedding. I was taken aback. I had no idea things were this serious. As a mother, it's agonizing to witness your children in conflict, especially when you're caught in the crossfire. My husband urged me to let them work it out themselves, but how could I? I felt that I had to intervene somehow, yet deep down, I wasn't sure how to proceed. The clock was ticking, and the wedding was approaching rapidly. I couldn't help but wonder if my decision to withhold payment for the rehearsal dinner would only escalate the situation. Then came a weekend where everything spiraled out of control. Jaime and Lucy had taken their daughter, Letty, out of town, leaving my husband and me to enjoy a quiet weekend. Luis and Jessa invited us for dinner, but their invitation felt like a facade. When they canceled last minute, I sensed something was off. The next day, Luis came over, and I watched in horror as he ignored his own niece, Letty, who was practically begging for his attention. It broke my heart. I knew I needed to speak up, but would it do more harm than good? As the days went on, I realized that the family dynamics were more fragile than I had ever imagined. The breaking point. Everything changed one fateful afternoon when a physical altercation broke out between Luis and Jaime. I was grocery shopping when it happened, and when I returned, the air was thick with tension. My husband told me about the fight, how it escalated so quickly that he barely had time to react. I felt devastated. My sons were fighting over something that I had hoped could have been resolved with communication. I knew I had to take a stand. After all, how could I allow this toxic behavior to continue? I told Luis he was no longer welcome in our home. It felt like a crucial decision, one I never thought I would have to make. He lashed out, accusing us of taking Jaime's side, but I couldn't let that deter me. My priority was to protect my family, and I felt like I had to do something drastic. As I grappled with this new reality, I began to question everything. How did we get here? Could I really just pay for the rehearsal dinner and pretend everything was fine? Or was it necessary to stand my ground? I confided in my husband, and we both felt the weight of the situation bearing down on us. Would Jaime and Lucy ever feel safe in our home again? The CPS report. Just as I thought things couldn't get worse, the unthinkable happened. A caseworker from Child Protective Services showed up at our door based on an anonymous report. My heart raced as we were interviewed and the house was inspected. I couldn't believe someone would stoop so low as to involve CPS in our family drama. The caseworker was kind, and after a thorough look around, she assured us there was no reason for concern. But the damage was done. Jaime and Lucy were traumatized, and the threat of losing their daughter looms over them like a dark cloud. I felt helpless. How could anyone do this to another family? I had always believed that families should stand together, but now I was faced with the harsh reality of betrayal. Jaime confronted Luis through text, demanding to know who had made the report. Luis responded with an indifferent attitude, and that was the final straw. Jaime cut him off completely, blocking him from his life. My heart broke for both of my sons. I wanted to fix things, to bring them back together, but I felt powerless. I couldn't shake the feeling that Luis's choices were tearing our family apart, and I didn't know how to mend the wounds. Part 5. The wedding approaches. As the wedding approached, I found myself in a whirlwind of emotions. I was angry, confused, and utterly heartbroken. I wanted to support my son, but how could I when his fiancée was the catalyst for this chaos? My husband and I discussed the rehearsal dinner again, and I felt conflicted. Should we just pay and keep the peace for the sake of our family, or should we stand firm in our beliefs and let Luis face the consequences of his actions? In the midst of all this turmoil, I tried to reach out to my middle son, Cyril, who had been caught in the crossfire. I didn't want him to feel neglected or forgotten. I knew he was trying to navigate his own relationship with Lewis while avoiding the drama. It was a delicate balance, and I hoped I could provide him with the support he needed. The wedding day was looming, and I knew I had to make a decision soon. But just when I thought I had reached my breaking point, Lewis reached out to me. He wanted to talk, to apologize, and to make amends. Could it be that he was finally ready to take responsibility for his actions? Part 6. The Aftermath. I remember the day of the wedding vividly. It was a day filled with conflicting emotions. I chose not to attend, feeling it was for the best given everything that had transpired. I felt a sense of loss, but I also knew that I needed to prioritize my own well-being and that of my family. Cyril attended the ceremony, but I knew it was bittersweet for him as well. In the aftermath of the wedding, I found myself reflecting on everything that had happened. Lewis had reached out one last time, expressing regret and hoping to mend things, but the rift seemed too deep. I couldn't shake the feeling that this was a turning point for our family, and it would take time to heal. In the end, I had to accept that while I couldn't control what happened between my sons, I could control how I responded. I knew that I would always love Lewis, but I had to protect my other son's family too. It was a painful realization, but I felt a sense of closure knowing that I had done my best to support my family through a turbulent time. The road ahead would be challenging, but I held on to the hope that one day we might find our way back to each other. Life was unpredictable, and despite the heartache, I was determined to focus on the love that still united us as a family.